Hi and welcome to this Leaving Cert Higher Level Applied Maths video. In this video, we're going to look at a previous exam question. So example 3, this is from the 2023 Deferred Higher Level paper. It's question 5 and it's part I. So at the first glance, you might think that this is pretty much the same as the first two examples, but there is a key difference. So ball is thrown vertically upwards from the edge of a building that is 24.5 meters high. The ball reaches a maximum height 2 seconds after it is thrown. Using a model that neglects the effect of air resistance, calculate the time from when the ball is thrown to when it lands on the ground at the bottom of the building. So if we were to draw this out, here's my building. Here is the ball projected upwards. It's going to travel up and it's going to come right back down, and we want to figure out how long until it hits the ground. So if we went straight to our VUAST like we did in the last question, we've got our S, which is 24.5 meters, because that was the height we were told in the question of the building. The reason it's negative, as before, it's below where we've thrown it. Because initially that was thrown up, our gravity will be minus 9.8 meters per second squared. We want to find the time. But what you'll notice is we haven't been given an initial velocity. We have been given another piece of information that we need to work with instead, and that is that the maximum height, so it reaches its maximum height 2 seconds after it's thrown. So we need to think about what happens at that maximum height. So let's just take the first section. So we have our ball and it's thrown up and it gets to this max height here. So if you've done projectiles, this is something we focus on quite a lot. If you've only seen your vertical motion here in this section, you may be less familiar with it. But if you think about what would happen if you throw a ball in the air, it will get slower, slower, slower. So it's decelerating due to gravity until it gets to that top point, which is the maximum height. And then for a split second, it stops. So when it reaches the maximum height, it stops, meaning our velocity is going to go to 0. So what we can work out here is what its starting speed is. So it's u. So if we look at this as a section and we go V, U, A, S, and T, we want to know by the time it starts, so I'll leave that blank, until it goes to 0, and we know that happens after 2 seconds, and we know that the acceleration is minus 9.8 meters per second squared. If we got a u, then I can work with what I have on the right hand side of the screen, and I don't care about s. So going to our log tables to find a formula that doesn't have s, we find v equals u plus at. So that piece of information is allowing us to figure out the initial speed at which this ball was thrown or projected. So that's going to be by 2. So u ends up being 19.6 meters per second. So we're going to plug that back in over here. Now that we have that information, we're good to go. We can go back to our log tables this time for this section, and this section is the whole movement of the ball. So from the time it leaves the top of the building until it lands again, we don't care about v, so we're going s is equal to ut plus a half at squared. So that gives us minus 24.5 equals 19.6 t plus a half minus 9.8 t squared. So a little bit of cleanup on that gives us 4.9 t squared minus 19.6 t minus 24.5, and that all equals 0. We have a quadratic, we want to solve it. So using minus b, we have minus b, so 19.6, plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 ac, and that all goes over 2a. and that's going to give us two answers for time. And one, like the last time, will be negative and one will be positive, and that's the answer we want. So our two answers are 5 and -1. The -1 is incorrect because you cannot have negative time. So even if you don't have the information you think you want, there will be something there that you can use to find it. If you want to break this into two different parts and work with a question like that, that's absolutely fine. It will be a little bit more work. This is the most quick and efficient way to get our answer. This question is from the 2023 Deferred Higher Level paper, and it is question 5. So for part 3, we are first of all told that a more sophisticated model for the motion of a ball that is thrown vertically upwards includes the effect of air resistance. The rate of change of velocity of the ball in terms of time t during the upward part of the journey can be modeled by the following differential equation. dv over dt is equal to -g minus kv. So remember, dv dt, we're talking about acceleration. Where k is greater than 0 is a constant. Take the initial upwards velocity of the ball to be 20 meters per second. Solve this differential equation and find an expression for v in terms of t and k. So effectively what we're seeing here, if we think in terms of our F equals ma, we had two things that were working downwards. We would have had weight, which was mg, and then we would have something that would have been air resistance, which would be an mkv in some form, and that would equal to a mass times acceleration. And then the masses would have been divided out, which would have left us with this acceleration formula. So we've seen kind of building this in other questions. So that is where that equation came from. And that's going to be relevant later on in the question when we're asked to work with it. For now, all we care about is we have the equation and we want to solve it. So first thing we do is we're going to separate out our variables onto different sides. I like to leave my minus on the right hand side where I can. Just remember, you can't split out that k. A lot of practice needs to go into splitting and separating out these differential equations. It must be either a multiplication or division. You should never add or subtract to move things to the other side. And the reason for that is because there should be a multiplication by that dv or by that dt. So what we get over here is 1 over g plus kv dv equals minus dt. And we're going to integrate both of these. We're told that the initial upwards velocity is 20. So when t is 0, we have velocity of 20. And we're trying to figure out when the time is t, what will be an expression for v. So that right-hand side is very straightforward. It's going to be minus t. So I like to leave my minus on that side, but it's absolutely fine to bring it to the left if you want. Notice how the left-hand side here is in the form of 1 over ax plus b, which is effectively a version of the integral of 1 over x. So that gives us the natural log, but we need to deal with the fact it's not just going to be natural log of x. So this one here will be natural log of x, while this one here will be the natural log of ax plus b, but then we divide by the derivative of the inner function, so we divide by an a, or put it as 1 over a. So bear that in mind. We see this a huge amount. Be very, very familiar with it. So this becomes the natural log of g plus kv. Remember that both g and k are constants. So when we differentiate g plus kv, we're left with just k. So that can be written as 1 over k, or we divide the whole thing by k, whichever you prefer. And we're going to evaluate that between 20 and v. Now, just clearing the screen so we have a bit more space to work, we get 1 over k natural log g plus kv minus 1 over k natural log g plus 20k. That's going to equal minus t minus a minus 0 like that, but that's effectively going to just disappear. So we can pull out the 1 over k in front, and then we're left with 2 natural logs subtracted. So for the natural log subtracting, we can use the idea of our laws of logs. And taking two logs away, we can instead write that as the so as a fraction g plus kv over g plus 20k. I like to write this single log because as soon as you have a log equation, you're trying to get one single log on its own so you can then convert it. So that gives us minus t. Bring that k across, g plus kv all over g plus 20k, and that becomes minus kt. Now we can take e to the power on both sides. So that gives us g plus kv, g plus 20k, and that is e to the power minus kt. Remember what we're trying to do here? We're trying to get an expression for v. So we're going to do g plus 20k e minus kt. And then we have kv equals g plus 20k e to the power minus kt minus g. And then v, we're going to divide across by k. And that's our answer for v. So part 3 asks us, using k equals 0.1225, calculate the time the ball takes to reach its maximum height. So we do need to understand what maximum height means. So maximum height is where it will stop. So it is going to have v equals 0 at that point. So we can take our formula that we had as our answer to part 2. However, if we sub in v equals 0 here and we try to then rearrange to get t, it's going to be a bit of a pain. So if we look back to part 2 and find a line where t is either isolated or nearly isolated, it's going to make our lives so much easier for this question. It's going to save us time. There will be less steps. Less steps means it's less chance of us making a mistake. We want to create something where we can just go straight to our calculator. So I'm going to go back to the line that looks like minus t equals 1 over k, a natural log g plus kv over g plus 20k. That is nearly got a t isolated. So what we're going to do then is simply change the sign. So t equals minus 1 over k, so that's 0.1225, natural log of g, which is 9.8, plus k, 0.1225, times our velocity, which is 0, all over g, sorry, I'll put in 9.8 plus 20 times 0.1225. We're putting this in the calculator. That bit's going to disappear, so I'm not even going to put that bit into the calculator. We can go straight to our calculator and it's going to give us our time straight out. No rearranging or solving required. This is a simple calculation. Now, you've already done the hard work. You've already gone from t to v. So to go from v back to t, you're kind of undoing or redoing the work you've done in the previous part. So in these kind of questions, when we have a differential equation and then they ask us to do something as a follow-on, really focus on, could I do this in an easier way? Is there something in my previous step where I have isolated or nearly isolated the variable that I want? So in this case, is there a line where t is nearly on its own? And the answer is yes. And that's the one you want to use. That will speed you up. Remember, these exams, you can be really, really tight for time. So anywhere you can save a bit of time is great. If you're doing these for practice, yeah, absolutely, it's great practice to sub in your v equals 0 and rearrange, but that is algebra. It's not going to be our differential equation. We want to focus on the things that are specific to applied maths, the pieces that are going to get us a lot of marks. So part 4, write down a differential equation for the rate of change of the velocity of the ball on the downward part of its journey. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the force involved. So here is the ball and we have, of course, weight working down, which is mass times gravity. Bear in mind what direction we're moving. So this is on the downwards part of its journey. So our acceleration is down this way, which means that any air resistance is going to be coming back this way. So this resistance, based on what we've seen before, is mass kV, which means if we think about this in terms of our force, F equals ma, it's going in the downward direction. So we have mg going down minus mkv is equal to mass times acceleration. The masses then disappear and we get something very similar to what we had before. The signs of the sign of gravity is going to be in a positive in this case. So we get for our differential equation for the rate of change of velocity, so that's dv dt, is equal to g minus kv.